the way that people talk is like one sentence is exactly like 4 seconds. The next sentence is 4 seconds. So it's like da 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 da. It's like
and silence.
So musical.
Like,
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Plot Pals podcast.
What happened? We got upgraded like 1,000,000,000%.
I know. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Suddenly, we just magically came here and.
It's the influence of Harvard and Mark Zuckerberg and changing the world of social media.
Exactly.
This week we're going to talk about a literal masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the fastest moving. Funny.
Exactly. It's called The Social Network. Now,
directed by David Fincher, a literal master.
Written by Aaron Sorkin.
I've been talking about Aaron Sorkin, I think, since episode 1. The words that come out of his mouth are like poetry. It's Shakespeare all over again, you know? It's like,
you think so?
It's so good because, first of all, there's always clear motivations, you know, intentions. They're not just saying things for the sake of being cool, but the characters are so vivid and they're saying what they would say in that situation. Women, men, young, old.
Yes.
He just writes everyone.
You know, I felt like Aaron Sorkin's writing is so realistic. Here, we have people with different trains of thoughts coming to communicate with each other and failing so miserably because that's real. That's real. People can't read each other's minds.
That's why it's so good because each person is pushing their own agenda. They're not trying to help the other person.
Not at all, yeah.
They're on their own track. And so, as you say, they just keep butting heads.
Exactly.
And this film is all about communication, it feels like, you know?
It is, like, exactly. It's social network, you know?
Right.
So it's got to be about that.
Mm-hmm. And to think from the very first scene, we see this not work at all.
Yeah, exactly. The irony. The irony is just amazing, you know?
They show that he is hurt by his inability to communicate.
Right.
And that's just the first scene, first 8 pages. And you're like, okay, I know where this story is going. Like, I want to see you change. And then, of course, there's the element that you know he's going to succeed. So you want to see all that. And it keeps coming back, as you say, like different people attack him at the different points of with, you did this and it hurt us and you did this.
Yeah. So how can you make it interesting for the audience? You already know Mark Zuckerberg built this Facebook and he became so successful and he was the first billionaire. So why are people still talking about this movie? Why are they like fascinated by it? It's because of like the structure, the layers, how they put it, the sequences, you know? It's crazy how they like managed to do that. It's not a linear kind of script movie. It has so many layers. It's just not linear.
So there's the one deposition scene, like one lawyer room with like people attacking him.
First deposition.
Yes.
And then
there's another deposition. So these are happening simultaneously. It's not like one finishes and the other starts. The amazing thing is that in each section, people are attacking Mark. Yes. So he's constantly under this fight of trying to prove that he's a good person. There's this scene, that scene, and then there is what happened in the past from each person's perspective.
Right.
It's like the first scene, you know, whose perspective is that?
The first scene... Well,
it's
Mark.
Erica's, isn't
Erica?
it? Because, you know, like you would think it's Mark's because it's Mark's story. But then when you cut back to the deposition, Mark is like, she said all that? Do you remember?
Oh, yes, I do remember
and
that
he's like,
scene.
oh, well, it's not true. Like, I didn't say those things to her. So it makes you think like, wow, maybe the scene didn't even play out like that. It was just how Erica perceived it. Of like, this guy who's not listening to me, he's not understanding my efforts.
Yeah, it was from Erica's perspective because, well, Mark was just dumbfounded over there, you know. He couldn't communicate with her so well. And at the end, he was like, why are you breaking up with me and stuff? So it's like, yeah, we as an audience also were offended by the things that Mark said. So that's why I think like this was from her perspective.
Exactly. So like all these jumping perspectives plus how quickly it moves.
Yeah.
You just can't stop.
Okay, the first time that I was watching that, I was like, oh my God, what are they talking about? The first scene was too fast.
Yes. It's ridiculous, actually.
Yeah, I was like, is it like me? Am I not like understanding this just because like maybe like an English speaker, like if you know, someone that is their mother tongue would understand. But I think it's just abnormally fast, you know?
Yes.
And I was like right, because that's Aaron Sorkin's style, you know? He's like always overlapping dialogues and all that. So yeah, it's very fast paced. And I have to say this also. I've been thinking about this since I started reading the script. It was like, when I was reading it, it was almost like I was reading a sheet music, you know?
Oh yeah, he always says that he writes musically.
He does. Wow.
It's amazing.
Now it makes sense, you know?
You know, we don't even mean that he rhymes, even though he sometimes rhymes.
Really? Okay.
He does. I remember there's this one line, I'll maybe pull it up after.
In the script also, a word that is overused is cut to. Cut to this, cut to you know?
Well, they have to keep cutting it. Like,
right. It does, but
intense.
like it's too much because you can feel it. You can feel the rhythm. It gets faster and faster.
Yeah.
You see cut to much more like frequently until there's like a breathing point where it's again like calm, and then it's like a good scene and goes on.
Wow.
And then
imagine like
faster.
the cut tos aren't even every single cut in the film.
Yeah.
They're just cuts between the scenes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
usually
yeah.
a scene is 1 to 3 minutes, but as you say in the script, like sometimes it's just 33 seconds, like 10 seconds, and then cut to the next scene.
Right, exactly.
So fast.
So the second time that I was watching the movie, I did it like this. I read the script and I also watched the scene. Like I would read one scene and then watch the scene. And I was so surprised because the scene was kind of long. In my head, I also like thought it was long. And then I would watch it and it was just a few seconds. That's
I know. Oh my god. Like there's some things. For example, there's one shot in the movie where the what's it called? The Winklevosses are eating
I know,
food.
this Wink and Floss is just so stupid.
The Winklewy twins, that's what you call them.
Did you know that's one actor?
Yes.
You did?
That's
I
insane.
didn't. I feel so betrayed.
Well,
and
that's
so
amazing that
crazy.
they did it. Yeah. Oh, we got to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay,
The thing is, I'll say this one thing about how intricate the movie is.
Okay.
There's one shot of the twins kind of talking about what should we do? Should we attack Mark?
Right.
And stuff like that. And Divya is there. And they're in a restaurant. And they're taking a bite of the sandwiches, whatever. It's just one shot, like literally 4 seconds in the movie.
Yeah.
And then they shot that scene for a whole day.
What in the world?
And apparently the sandwiches were so big and hard to eat that the actors, so we'll go right back into the brothers. The actor who was acting as the brother, just as the body of the brother, not the face, was like, my jaw hurt from that sandwich. And then you watch the movie and it's like, they might as well have not been eating. Like, it makes no difference.
Right.
But all these
or like a
details,
smaller sandwich.
Right. Right. But like just the amount of everything is real in that movie, and you can always go back and see more. Okay, the twins.
Okay.
So you had no idea, first of all?
I had no idea about that. How great they played that.
You thought there was just two handsome guys, 2'5", and they
well,
looked the
you
same?
know, twins are not usually this like identical. There's always something that you can differentiate. Of course, like it was kind of, I thought that it's not normal that these two like look so alike and I can't say the difference between them. But then again, I was fooled until I read this website, like this blog, and then I was like, holy crap, that makes sense.
It's ridiculous because the real Winklevoss twins were identical.
Yeah.
So it was really important to Aaron and David to get identical twins because they want to be like exact to the real people. And so they looked for months, I don't know, however long, for all these people, and they got down to 2, and that one of them was Armie Hammer, who they got, and the other one was Josh Pence, I think.
Why wouldn't they get an actual twin, you know?
That's the thing. Like, I wonder if they just didn't find twins that were good actors
and the
tall,
description is
and
kind
good
of
crew.
Yeah, they have to be like buff and handsome and, you know, all like exactly, they have to like be working out. And
like that, you're right though, like maybe it would have been much easier if they found a twin,
but they looked like the Hemsworth brothers. I don't know, I was just reminded of them
a little bit.
They could have just casted one of them.
But yeah, maybe they didn't know them at that time. I don't know.
Exactly.
But they cast both of these guys. So they cast Armie Hammer and Josh Pence, and they only used Josh's body. What so he's acting with Armie, like they're both acting, right? Okay. And he's doing the hand gestures and everything, but then they put Armie's face on his face.
How? No way!
Like, imagine going through a year of filming.
Why would you
for your face to be gone? But then they, they made
How
it
did
like...
they even do it?
I don't know, but I feel like now with
So
AI, it will
real.
be so much easier, don't you think?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
even
the
if you could do
AI
it on
is
a phone.
not that developed. I don't know, but
Yeah, but I'm sure it was so much harder for them to do it at that time.
of course, it's 2010, and of course, like it was 2009 when they were filming or something.
Exactly.
That's crazy. I did not think that. Well, when they said twins, I was like, it was like one actor. I was like, okay, he acted both parts,
Right.
but just the face. That's like
it was like such a hard thing. So sometimes he would act as the other twin, like when they
Right.
weren't in the same shot,
Yeah.
he would fully be the other guy. But if they were both in the same shot, then these two actors would walk, and then maybe one of them had glasses on, or like one of them had dots on, so they could switch later.
Whoa.
Like just the ridiculous amount of work that it took for this to happen.
Very unnecessary, yeah. But again,
It's amazing.
it's like the actors are really good though. The guy is so great, and you can't even tell.
Yes,
that
you
was the
can
case.
like. Now that I know, if you go back, you can tell for a few seconds, like this shot, that shot, you could tell that it's fake. But they do a good mix and match of now it's just him. There's no CGI, so like
Oh yeah.
you just get fooled.
Exactly. And did you notice that, okay, the characters of Cameron and Tyler, the twins, Cameron is like more laid back, and he's like gentlemanly, as he calls himself, and
Yes,
like,
gentleman of Harvard.
yeah, how
Amazing.
obnoxious and how stupid.
No,
like,
he's the good guy though, isn't he?
I don't think so. Do you think of the twins as the good guys? I don't know.
Well, here's the thing.
They're
So
rich. Like they're filthy rich.
they're filthy
They
rich,
have like the family connections.
but that's true. So they're really, really rich, but they are world-class athletes. They went to the Olympics. So
Right.
they're like, and they row like 3 hours in the morning. They have course load. They go to Harvard. Like they have these connections, but they're also doing their best to like maximize it. And they have a
Right.
business partner, and they're trying to create this website, even though they're athletes. So
Yeah.
they're doing all these things. The first time I watched it, I will say like I thought they were the villains. But like
They're
when you go
not,
back, you just see these are just guys who want to work hard and succeed, and everyone wants to make their parents proud. Like that's what everyone's goal is, I feel like. Maybe except Mark. But everyone is like, "Oh, Dad, what do you think? Blah, 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 I love you."
The real villain is just Mark, I feel like. Like he himself is his own enemy, That's the thing.
It's tough because he's so hardworking though. Like I don't see him as a villain. I just see him
No,
as
he's his
into
own
his own.
enemy, As everybody else is, their own enemy in their own lives. But he's like, everything bad that happened to him was because of himself, because he
Really?
couldn't communicate. Yeah.
Because he couldn't communicate, definitely. But I also see it as everyone is in his way. So he is a genius who literally doesn't need to go to these Harvard classes.
Okay.
And he's just like, he's so above everyone. And from the first minute that he's trying to unleash his power, he's creating this face mash site. The ad board sits down to try to tell him, like, you were wrong. What you did was stupid, even though he's smarter than everyone in the room.
Right.
And then another scene, like, the girlfriend is annoyed. But, the girlfriend breaks up. She does the smart thing and she goes away and she lets Mark keep going forward. And then it's like the next scene, these twins are trying to take away from his business.
Yeah.
The next scene, this old business partner is like, you screwed me out of the business. But then Mark is like, you weren't there. I was building the business in California. You were in New York. I don't get it. Like, it's my business. I coded every line. And you were trying to get into a final club, like you were drinking all day.
Okay, that's true. But he also put all this money in, He deserves that. Even though he didn't do something like on the coding and operation side. And maybe he didn't do anything on the business side as well, because Mark always disagreed with him. But he put the money in.
But think about it. So he put 18,000 in, okay, which is a lot of money. 18,000, of course. But think about where Facebook went. It was 25 billion by the end of the film.
I get it.
And from that 18,000, he made over 600 million. Okay, so think, like, yes, he made a great contribution. He supported Mark when no one else was supporting him, of course. But he also wasn't the one who got him a $600,000 investment. You know, he was still going to his university. He was a Harvard boy. He was a internship guy, even though he only went for one day. But like, he needed to get into the Phoenix Club. He had a girlfriend. He had his own life, but he had made $300,000 that summer. So he wanted to like support his best friend's business, you know? So, you know, great. Yeah. And that's why you get rewarded with $600 million.
But only after he
sued
and started to do that. No, you know, that's not how businesses work. Business is like when you put money, especially when you risk, you know, putting and investing money into a startup, it means that you have like legal value and you have like this stocks. He had like 30% share in the startup, which had nothing, had no revenue, nothing. He believed in something that didn't even produce any outcome for him. So that means a lot. I mean, a lot, right? And he had the 30% share, and then Mark screwed him over, you know? What was his reasoning?
Here's the thing, though. Mark didn't specifically screw him over. I think, if anything, it was the business who gave Mark the money. Because once the business gave Mark like those $600,000, they signed a deal that was like, now we are your investors. Now we make some business deals for your company. You just worry about the computer side, Mark. And so then with that, they decided, you know, we need to sell more shares. And who the fuck is this Eduardo guy who's not here? You know, he just put some money to start the company. Okay, he put $18,000 to start a company. Where is he now? Is he a part of your business? Should we pay him back? Should we just give the $19,000 and get rid of him? You know, this is what they're thinking. And Mark is like, of course, you know, Mark does not like confrontation.
Yes, that's a big thing in the movie.
He's just in his computer world. Like, he wants his best friend, sure, but like, he keeps saying to the best friend, he keeps saying, come to California.
Yeah.
You know, if you believe in this business, it's just moving so much faster than we thought. It's no longer Harvard. This is where it's at. And the friend, of course, wants to pursue his school life.
Right.
So whose fault is that really, you know?
Yes.
I don't know. Like, on the first like 5 viewings, I was on Eduardo's side. I was just like, how the fuck, like, Mark is an asshole. But then the more you watch it, you realize Mark is just built like, this is just business. It's not personal. Do you know?
Yeah, I get it. But like, I still think if there is like someone to blame, like if there is someone to like get out of the company, it's this guy, Sean Parker. What was his name?
Right.
That guy. Of course, he had the connections. He like got all that.
He got the $600,000.
But he was also using Mark, and
for sure,
he was using his like influence on Mark and all that. And I think here, just exactly the same thing with Mark. He hated confrontation and the money and the business side of things, so he just never communicated that point with Eduardo and said anything, which is like. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say who is bad, but Sean Parker for me is like really an asshole over there. Yeah,
it's true. Again, the first few times I watched it, I thought Sean was the big villain. Like, who the fuck are you to come into this business and become best friends with Mark? You know, this thing has been going on for so long. What the hell are you doing here? But then going back and watching it again, you think, you know, here's a guy who started a few businesses and they kind of failed, but he is great. Like, he knows how to start a business, at least, if he doesn't know how to uphold it. And he's so charming and everything. And so he comes in to Mark, who Mark like really wants to listen to him as well. So he's like, I'll give you some advice. Like, this business that you have, it's doing well now, but it could do so much better. Okay. And then Sean actually helps him achieve that. Without Sean, there would be no 600,000 because Mark can't do it. Mark can't talk to people. Eduardo is not there. So Sean, as he promises, he puts Mark on 2 continents. Okay. He's a business guy. Of course he wants to use Mark. He is trying to use Mark to restore his own life. But he changes Facebook for the better until like then he gets into his fucked up behavior.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, at the end when he's like you know, being into drugs and girls and all that kind of screws Facebook's image and stuff.
Yeah.
That's bad. And also it feels like, he's of course, like a problematic kind of character and person, but he has the connections and he knows everyone in California and in Los Angeles. So that's a good thing. About the confrontation thing, I actually remember a few scenes of Mark avoiding this confrontation with Eduardo. There was this scene after when Eduardo finds out the letter that the twins have sent, and they're like, you used our idea and we're suing or something like this. Yeah. And then he's like talking about that. Suddenly Mark, who is not interested in girls at all, starts to talk about the girls. Like, what was the girl's name? Now Eduardo is talking about, asking, so when did this letter come? Like, what happened? Tell me about it. And Mark is like,
deflect.
What was the girl's name? Tell me the girl's name. Yeah. Stop that. Like, just tell me the girl's name. I want to. Like,
it's amazing.
He just ditches everything. You see that so many times over and over again in the movie, when he just ditches the whole conversation when it doesn't suit him. He doesn't give a shit about people at all. Like, he doesn't even see worth if you're not intelligent enough for his level, you know?
Right.
That's crazy, because even when he's talking to the girlfriend and he's just talking about her education and, you know, or that she's not in the same level that he is, and that he's going to like bring her to these clubs and stuff. Like, every scene you just get it. Even with the scene in the deposition, like the second deposition with the lawyer asking him, do I have your full attention? And he's like, it's raining. And then again he's like, do I deserve your attention at least? And he's like, no, you don't deserve it at all, because the only thing that matters is, the only thing that has my attention is Facebook and my colleagues and employees.
Amazing. He's just thinking about the future instead of these petty things. He's in Harvard, in the greatest university. He's not even looking around. Literally, he's running through the campus to get to his room and start working. So I feel like we have to cut him some slack. Like, there's definitely geniuses, only 1 in a million, 1 in a billion. I don't know. So it's fair. You just don't bother. That's true.
I mean, like, his personality is definitely, like, if you look at it like psychologically, he definitely has this nervous problems. His nervous system is definitely like fucked up, I'm sure. Like, because the way that he thinks, his thinking patterns are so different. And that's what makes it so difficult for him to connect with others as well. So it's like, yeah, you're right. I mean, we have to like cut him some slacks, because genius has a price, and that's like the price exactly. But still, I don't know.
Also, keep in mind that we are kind of talking about the film character Mark.
Yeah.
Sean.
That's true, yeah.
Because like there is elements of the story that were fictionalized just for the story. And so we're thinking about this genius in the story.
Exactly.
And so I had the chance to read the book that this was based on. And
how long?
I told you, I didn't finish it. There was a few hours left. But I did tell you, like, this is a nonfiction book. I was wrong. So the author took thousands of hours of interviews he did with different people.
Right.
And he turned it into a story. And it jumps from perspective. So it's Eduardo's perspective, trying to get into the Phoenix and meeting Mark. And then the twins' perspective.
Wow.
And it's Sean's perspective. And guess what? Mark didn't allow to get interviewed. Like, he didn't want to be interviewed. No. So his perspective is not even in the book.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like, what does Aaron Sorkin have to go off of? But the thing is, in this story, the way Aaron Sorkin structured it, he's always being attacked. So from the very first scene, he's fighting with people. And that's why it makes sense, you know, he's just under constant pressure.
Right.
He's creating this business, which is already so much pressure. But then on top of that, he has to fight with everyone. Like, I don't know if you fight with people on a regular basis. I kind of do.
Wow.
And it's painful. Like, you feel so bad.
Yeah, I mean, imagine, like, the story is just like this. It's just everything hitting him over and over and over again, especially with the pace that Sorkin has, you know. It's just unstoppable, the whole thing. But it's a good thing that he's an unbothered kind of character. He doesn't care at all. The way he dresses, the way he just... Even when Facebook wasn't, like, that big, that's crazy when he was, like, called into the administration.
He's just wearing his flip-flops, no socks.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Embarrassing.
But, like, that shows some confidence, you know, in himself.
Yeah, like, what does that even show? I don't get it. Does it show that he doesn't
care
about
anymore, you know? It's like when you get like don't get recognized by people for a long time, you kind of try to act the part as well. You're like, okay, you're not going to recognize me, fine. I'm going to also act and dress like that as well. Like, I'm going to act like this, that nobody cares about me, or that I don't care about anybody as well.
Amazing. But he kind of changed, actually, now that I'm thinking, in the depositions.
Right.
One of them,
he's a billionaire now, so it makes sense. But then...
So this film, like, it's so visually stimulating. It's like on cocaine, I feel like. When you watch... Right.
Yeah.
So I was watching, like, I read the script first and analyzed it.
Okay.
So I was like, dear God, like, I just want to watch the movie and not think about the story. I just want to see, like, what they did with the shots.
Yeah.
Trying to understand. And I'm watching and I'm like, stimulus is coming from every direction. Exactly. I've seen this movie so many times. What's going on? I can't analyze it. It's just too fast. Like, as soon as you see a shot, it's gone. And so I had to watch it silently. Just put it on silent and I'm trying to watch the shots.
Wow.
And it's like, it actually raises your heartbeat, like the number of cuts there is. Just in that first shot, a first scene of the conversation. No, it keeps cutting from here to his face and then from the front of his face and cut back and forth and back and forth. And it's like, it's just intense. Like, that's David Fincher's style combined with Aaron Sorkin's writing.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't even say that's a good idea for every film, though. Right. Because for me, like, I was like, this is the holy grail, the script. If I analyze it, I will be able to become a good filmmaker, finally. Right. You know, like, all the secrets are in this. But at the same time, like, that's just the style of this film. You know, it doesn't have to be that every film has to be on crack like this.
Definitely
it's
not.
Intense.
You have to... Well, it's not about, like, saying, okay, I'm going to read this script and then I'm going to be great, you know, after that. It's like getting the elements of it. What did Aaron Sorkin use here? What did he use? It was the realistic things. Like, when I'm, for example, writing, or you write, I feel like we're the ones that think for the characters, right?
That's true.
But here, I feel like when he was writing it, he knew every character so well and how they would think and what they wanted, each and every one of them, if they weren't even that important or they didn't have that much significance.
True. Like, when a lawyer is talking, it sounds like a real lawyer is talking.
Right, exactly. It's like they have a purpose. It's like they have their own thoughts, their own being. And then these two characters that have their own thoughts, they're thinking of something right now, they come and talk to each other, and it's so realistic when they can't, like, get across that message. It's realistic. We have to do that more. I think what I learned from the script was this, that different people, different characters, people in general have different trains of thoughts. And when they come in contact with each other, they're going to have difficulty talking and communicating and getting the messages across. It always happens.
So true.
And we have to use that element a lot.
And Aaron Sorkin does always say that his secret to writing good scenes and good scripts is it's always about an intention a character has and an obstacle that's in their way. That's it. So these two things. One character wants something and something is in their way. And then he does that for the other character in the scene as well.
Nice.
So, like, what a secret and what a little trick that you could just keep in mind to see, is my scene worth being in the script?
Every scene was like that, now that I think about it. Every scene that a problem was solved, immediately there was another obstacle and problem and another desire, something else.
And even, like, in this whole script, you will see there's only 2 or 3 scenes that are truly happy. Yeah. You know, there's, like, the one scene where the girls and them go into the washroom and make out. Oh, yeah. Or, like, the 3 seconds where they jump off the pool. Yes. But it's like the rest is all attack. Like, those are just there so you don't feel like the whole film is intense.
Exactly. I'm glad you said it. After this whole intense scene that is, like, cut back to first deposition, second deposition, first deposition, flashback, first deposition, second deposition. It's like that. After this scene, this long, like, intense scene, we have this silent moment that Eduardo is like, Mark is like, so what was the girl's name again? Yes. But this time Eduardo answers and says, yeah, Jesse, or I don't know what Christine and the other Ellis. He says that, and then after that they go to the bar and they have this happy moment.
It's amazing. It's like one happy moment. Like it has no purpose other than just showing these people succeed a little bit after their business was already put on. And it's also kind of like sad at the same time, because right before that they were fighting over like, please be honest with me.
You have to say everything that happens on your business partner.
And it's the start of everything getting fucked for them. Like it's the start of their business partnership being ruined. So like you see the party and you see them making out, but then you remember they're in a deposition room right now. How'd they get there?
Exactly. Especially because the second time you watch, you already know what happened. But the first time, it's like you wonder, kind of one of the questions that you have is like, what happened to their friendship? They were really good friends. They started Facebook together. What happened to them that just they're like in this Gone position?
Girl.
Yes. This sequence thing is so important. We have to play with it so much. It just gives like this dimensions and these layers to the story that makes it just much more real and gives life to it, I feel like.
Yes. And then there's always this balance of this storyline is going forward. So now we're going to focus on this one before we get too bogged down with this.
Yeah.
And as soon as this gets somewhere, we'll jump to the next one. So it's like constantly exciting. And where's this going to go? Oh, we're bored of the twins. Okay, well, next scene is a new thing. It's the welcome to Facebook scene. Like it's just everything works in a way to keep your eyes on the screen.
It felt like the whole thing was neated. It's so interconnected, Exactly. Every scene leads to another scene that is gonna, or maybe leads to a scene that will come back later. So it's like it's neated and it's so interconnected.
Yeah, there isn't a moment that's just there.
Just to be there.
As a, like,
Yeah, just a independent
like
entity.
Indulgence, of the writer-director.
There's no such thing.
It's true.
They all have a purpose, and everything comes back again. We said it, like a good story should start with elements that will come back again and again in the story. So at first, when the movie starts, we have Mark talking to this girlfriend, to this date, and he's like talking about two important things: final clubs, which comes back again and again, and his obsession with that. And we see that Mark cannot talk or communicate with others. And we see that girls or people think that Mark is a jerk.
Right.
Just because of the fact that he can't like communicate his ideas very well.
Exactly.
So these things are his weaknesses that we see from the first scene.
Yes.
And these come back until the end.
Exactly. There's so many setups and payoffs.
Right.
But just with lines even. Like, for example, Eduardo, a few times in the script, he's like, my father would be so proud. Oh, my God, you don't know how much this will mean to my father. And then the payoff is, in the deposition, he's like, my father won't even look at me.
And he said that?
Yeah.
I forgot.
You hear that, it's like, oh my God, this was planted in our head because he signed a deal that made him lose all the money. And it's like, it just hits you so hard because it was built throughout that he cares so much about what his father thinks.
But still, he got so much money.
I know. Yeah, why are the fathers so judgmental in this movie? Like his father, also the Winklevoss twins, like their dad is like proud of the race that they lose, but then as soon as Facebook comes up, he's like, I'm gonna find your mother, and he leaves.
Whoa.
Your kids go to Harvard, and
I think it just shows that what money does, to friendships, to relationships, to family relationships and all that.
That's true. Success even. Just like this striving for success, what it will do to your relationship.
Yeah, exactly. When money comes into the equation, what will happen to friendships, to these relationships? And that's just one of the most important themes in the movie. It's just this friendship. Even though I would say like the real Mark Zuckerberg and Eduardo didn't have this much of a close relationship and friendship. Really? Yes. It was just
in
more
the book it was said that they were like fast friends. Like they didn't know each other for so long, but just after a few weeks of meeting, they became like really close.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense like in college and university, when you meet someone and you have like the same ideas, especially since like this guy was a business and economics student and Mark is like a computer scientist, so of course they would like have this connections and stuff. They have to work with each other at some point. But yeah, the connection is not that deep for it to like make long-term friendships or business partnerships, I feel like.
Here's the thing though. So they went to college together. Those are the most intense years in any person's life.
Right.
And they started a business together and they got famous together. So these three things I feel like bonded them for life. And they like had this terrible fight.
Right.
Which of course then ended their friendship. But it makes sense that they were fast friends, I feel like. For me, this script was the holy grail. Okay. I just thought like it can't get better than this. So I was hoping after analyzing this, like I would understand the secrets of the universe. And honestly, like it did help because when you
already look, she has notes.
I put like post-it notes based on the scenes, and it helps so much because you realize he built this whole script. This script, like imagine writing this much perfection, you know? It's thick. But it's a section, so it's like 4 pages of introducing Mark and introducing his weakness. Yes. Then 4 pages of introducing Winklevoss. 4 pages of Winklevoss finds out about Facebook. Now what do they do about it? 3 pages of they try to sell it. They try to sell the business, and how does that go? 3 pages of introduction to Sean. It's like it actually makes sense, you know? Right. It's not like some magic trick in front of me. Which it still is. Like if you watch the movie, you're still just amazed at how they managed to pull it off. Right. But when you start to peel back the layers, you at least start to say, okay, there's a way, you know, there's some chance we might possibly write a script like this one day.
Yes.
It's like, it's just, you gotta know how to structure it. You gotta know what you want to say. And you gotta have this like treatment. And then you have to have the magical power to write dialogue.
Yeah, that's the most important part.
Aaron Sorkin.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like with Aaron Sorkin, I felt like he directed the movie. I don't know if the script was written after the movie, this one that we have right now.
This one that we have was after, unfortunately.
Really?
But there is another one. If you search up the Social Network screenplay, the very first one is the one before. Okay. But it's just the typing wasn't as nice, so I printed this one. But like you could see there's just a few differences between what's in the film and on the script.
Okay, but still, doesn't it feel like that he directed the movie?
Yes.
Like he says that which time music comes in, like now music comes, now voiceover.
Exactly.
Do it like that. Cut it to this, and then as you cut it, like he says this, and there are these things on the wall. These are, and they are there. Exactly. Like. Wow.
It's intense how much he figured out the film in the script already.
It's like everything is on his mind.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it's so hard to read the lines. You know, you gotta be a master actor to be able to like actually like deliver his lines and in a natural way. Because he has a lot of like these kind of filler words and these things that naturally people actually do and kind of execute when they're talking. So, which is so hard for actors to deliver.
Oh, right.
I mean, we also go to acting class and it's like kind of hard to deliver lines very naturally and you have to come up with subtext and everything. So the fact that there were so many scenes that, you know, Mark is an awkward guy. And the fact that Jesse could deliver these lines so well.
Yes, and there's no change, you know, there's maybe there's just one word change in the whole script.
Right.
But Aaron Sorkin is, as we said, because he's musical, he's very deliberate about say this line exactly how I wrote it, because if you get rid of who in the sentence, then it won't have that rhythm anymore. Yeah. So you've got to say it all. Even if I wrote, you better say that.
Especially now that we also go to acting class.
Now you see how difficult this whole thing is.
It's very hard, you know?
And especially upholding it for the number of takes that David Fincher needs.
Yes.
So for that first scene, which truly, you know, it feels like they just put a camera there and there's two people talking, you know, and then they put the camera a little closer. Yeah. But apparently they shot the coverage for that 99 times.
Whoa. What?
The actors are so good, right? Like, I'm sure the first take was good. The second take was good. But they did it 99 times. I don't know
kind
how
of
many
like
days it
breaking the Kubrick's record. Yeah.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Ridiculous.
That's too much.
So that's it just shows everyone's dedication to making this film something perfect. Yes. You know, just like what Mark, like the effort that Mark put through. First, there's a person who wrote the book, who did all of the research and interviewed thousands of hours worth, everyone involved, and wrote a book. And so much of the script is in the book.
Yeah.
So, you know, like lines.
Oh, really?
It's taken, you know, even though the structure's changed.
Yes.
And like kind of almost the theme is changed, you know, and the main purpose. But so much is taken from that. And then somebody writes a perfect script. And then a great director comes along. And there's months of pre-production, and they figure out the lighting, and then they get the best actors. Each person is like focused on only their character, where they're coming from. Each person is researching their character.
Right.
And then they shoot it for months, and they keep doing it again and again, and they create this thing that's gonna outlive them all, you know?
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and considering like this was like 2010, right? I know it's not that long ago.
Yeah.
But like it's just so crazy to me. It's such a beautiful movie. It feels like yesterday, kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a timeless kind of movie. It's like it was just coming out, you know, just now.
And the editing is amazing too. Like I'm sure you can appreciate it more now as you do more editing. But it's like choices that me and you wouldn't have made. Like if I saw this film, I would have been like, you're cutting way too much, you know, just please focus on one person. But they did, you know, months of back and forth. And how do you make people like sit at the edge of their seat and always be on the lookout, you know, never get bored?
Yeah.
They figured all this out. How do you make it funny? You know?
Exactly. And I don't know much about the director, David Fincher. And
we did watch Gone Girl.
That's right. Oh, wow. That was the director.
Yeah.
Look at me.
Amazing. And it had kind of a similar setup too, Gone Girl, where we start with the terrible situation and then we go back to see the good.
Right.
And here we kind of like also keep jumping back between the worst case until like to figure out how it got there.
He's like a really good at this kind of style of movie and script. So I was kind of wondering how this great writer that has like this say in the industry and all that could work with this director, because when you have two people that are like this influential, it's kind of hard to make a movie.
You're right. I think one part is that they both respected each other so much. So each has made the best work possible in their field. And then they came together, and I think for 3 weeks, just him and the Aaron Sorkin, David Fincher, and the two actors, Andrew and Jesse, were in a room 3 weeks every day, going through every line to figure out why the line is there. What does it mean? What did Aaron Sorkin mean by it? And what does David Fincher now mean? And it was amazing to see that. To see, like, you know, sometimes David Fincher is like, I think they say this line because Jesse's this kind of character. And then you're thinking like, oh my God, Aaron Sorkin wrote this. Like, how are you saying something that's different? And then the way you see they argue about it, you know, so diplomatic.
Wow.
How like they have to express their ideas, you know.
Did you see the interviews of them?
There was a documentary that showed like just clips, very small clips.
Right.
But like you see, for example, like David Fincher gets angry a tiny bit. Of course, because they keep going back and forth. Right. Aaron is like, this is what I meant when I wrote it. Like, don't you think this idea of I'm CEO bitch is the church that Mark Zuckerberg is belonging to? And then, like, for example, David says something different. And like there was a part where David's like, but I think it's amazing to see, like, they had to sit down, as you say, like these two minds who have different interpretations and really solidify what it means and what should the actors aim for. And some things changed from the script to the film.
Exactly. That's crazy.
It's amazing
how they did work it out, and in such harmony they make such a masterpiece, of course.
Mark is so right about the final clubs, though, because Theodore Roosevelt, like all these presidents and all these like company owners and builders, like they went to these clubs. Like they were part of this group of people. Like, you know, it's a better group of people. Even in Harvard, who everyone is smart, there's a section of people who all have the same goals, and they get into these clubs. So it's very important to be a part of it.
Yes, of course. Like a big theme of the movie is social hierarchy. Social hierarchy is so important, and how it plays out in the modern world, and how it plays out in like a virtual setting, you know, in a network online setting. And so, yeah, for a long time, like before society and like socializing was converted into like the networking kind of like virtual form, it was like face-to-face. People were from different classes. They couldn't like socialize with people from different classes. And there were these places that you could only be around people of your class. That's the only thing. Like a person that was like I don't know, a gentleman or something wouldn't like go out or talk to a working class or something unless it was like business. But that's like it. They wouldn't hang out for like parties. They wouldn't do any of the sort. So this whole like virtual society and socializing just elevated everything and changed everything. But still there is these like hierarchies in place. And
for sure. I mean, the whole first scene is a hierarchy with Mark being, well, the second scene. Mark is in his room working on a plan to judge other people.
Girls.
Yes. To like, in a way, put himself in a better position, put the guys who watch in a better position to judge. And then at the same time, there's this party going on where the girls have all dressed up to be judged, to be picked out and, I don't know.
Have fun.
Yeah, have fun. And the guys are all like, they're there because they were selected and they're the smartest of Harvard people. And, you know, like them being there means that they mean something. Like, and so it's all this people trying to prove themselves and
for sure
be better.
There's like this thing called social currency. And for example, in the movie we saw it a lot that women had that advantage of getting into these circles and these clubs and everything without that much like
that's true. Like their currency was being pretty.
Exactly. Like the whole movie, that was the case. And even in the script, you can tell that women were written by a man because of like, did you see the description of the girls?
Yeah.
Like Christy and all that. It was so...
the red bra and everything. Right. And to think, you know, Christy is a girl who goes to Harvard. Like, I don't know what she studies, but it's pretty amazing.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, Christy, at least she's like a little two-dimensional. Like, she's crazy. That's cool.
Yeah.
And Erica is interesting, too. Erica stands up to Mark. Who the girls I couldn't get behind at all were the girls at the California house who were just hitting the bong and like, what are you doing in this house? Why are you so superstitious? They're like playing video games. They're like, we don't know. We're just shooting at each other. We don't know what we're doing. Why were they so high? Like, there's somebody coding computer stuff. Right. And then why? Why are they there? Why are they
exactly like it didn't make any sense. You know, how would you even concentrate on your work if there are so many things happening around you? And they would just use the phrase, "Oh, he's wired in. You know, he's wired in. Don't bother him. Yeah, it's okay. You can make as much noise as you want.
It's true.
As long as he's wired in."
Right. Like, and fucking in the same scene, Sean Parker puts 2 drinks on top of a laptop. Did you see that?
No.
That's ridiculous. Like, what?
Wow.
That was
in a
scene.
House full of computer scientists doing that takes some courage.
Exactly. You know? Like, I guess it's meant to show he's a villain at that point. But I was just like, you must be retarded. Like, does Mark not see this? What's going on? I was so pissed. That one particular scene. At the same time, though, there is Marilyn. So this like woman who matters so much in the story. You know, the 20-month associate.
Yeah, that girl.
She's a good written female.
Right. The only one. But she is also like, if you read the description, it's like an attractive like associate.
That's true. Like that. And they do say like, don't describe your characters in terms of their attractiveness. Describe them with something real. Like, for example, how he described Mark.
Right.
Mark is described as a person who can't make eye contact and who is like, who masks an anger. And then for Erica, she's very pretty. It's easy to fall for her.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
She's a girl next door kind of person. What?
Yes.
Well, you see, like, Erica is also kind of at wrong. And she also is not a really good communicator as well, I feel like. Because, you see, like, she also picks up on this 1600 thing.
But it's insane, though. Like, imagine if you say, what if you made $1 million in your first week of business? And so she's like, you made $1 million? Like, let's talk about that. How did that happen? It's a huge number. I think 1,600.
That's true. And then what Mark says, yes, I could sing in a cappella group, but I can't sing. Like,
yeah, Mark is just using Erica as a way to talk about his problems.
Yes, and kind of like boost his ego as well. And the thing is, okay, this is what I got from Mark's character. He is like a repeller. So you've seen like this Art of Seduction book, right? By Robert Greene. And he talks about the type of seducers, and at the end he talks about types of like repellers. And Mark is one of the repellers, you know? Because he doesn't get to understand other people's needs. He doesn't value women like that, you know? He doesn't get to go beyond their like physical thing and stuff. And he just doesn't get to understand their personality, their needs, and trying to meet them. That's what a good seducer would do. That's what Sean does.
Right.
Which he fails at. So that's why he's like a repeller, not only of females like women, but also friends and like business associates and everything. Because like being a repeller is not just about like repelling like, I don't know, the opposite sex, but also about like repelling or attracting anything in your life, you know? So when you're a repeller, you basically repel so many opportunities, so many things in your life.
But the thing is, no one can be perfect in every way. So if this guy is so smart that he can code, I don't know, drunk and blind, like there is no way he could also be a seducer, you know? I feel like it would just not be fair to the world. And maybe if he cared about women, if he cared about the dates, he would just not have been as successful.
Yes.
So you think like
that's right. But also like there is this thing, like he's not even moral. Like he doesn't have that moral center, I feel like. Imagine like screwing your friend over like that, not even saying this.
Like, that's true. Like, why do you think he sent those emails to the Winklevoss twins for 40 days? And he kept telling them, you know, I'll help you, you know, I'm busy right now, but I'm still on board. Okay. Why do you think he did that?
Okay. So the first time that he meets the Winklevoss twins, the first thing that I have to say about Mark is that Mark is like has a very fragile ego. He gets insulted so easily. So the first time he meets the twins, they're like, okay, he's like kind of like offended or like insulted by the way they talk to him. He's also insulted by the fact that these are like men that row crew, which Erica liked.
Right.
But he isn't that. He's not a buff like man, an athlete or anything. And he always like, he has that insecurity. So the first thing is this, for example. You see like, here's one hit to his ego. And then the second time is when they're in the Porcelain, I think, club. And they're in the bike room. And he's like, the twins insult him by saying that you can, again, like...
we could help you restore
your image. And he, in his mind, is so arrogant that he thinks like, well, for good reasons, of course, because he's like a genius, like, programmer.
He doesn't need them.
Yeah. And of course, considering his personality, he's like a person that doesn't care about what other people think. So imagine these people coming up and with their obnoxious like behavior and all that, like saying with their money and family and wealth and stuff, saying, yeah, we're going to restore your reputation. We're going to help you. You're the one that... So of course he gets offended. And the fact that he's not part of this club, it's kind of like he has that prejudices against these people from the beginning. And then he always sees himself above everyone. So it's like, why am I going to even work with them when I can do everything myself? And even like put the things, because he changed the idea so much. Yeah, the initial idea was the twins, but...
yeah, kind of, yeah.
But I feel like he added the life, the touch that... they didn't even think about. Like,
that's true. And consider, you know, they were asking his help for free. You know, they weren't going to pay him or anything.
Well, they said we're going to pay, and he was like, no,
I think they were going to pay for the softwares and
just
stuff.
that, yeah, just
not
the
his
programming.
work.
Exactly.
So, you know, like first few times watching, I was like, he tried to screw them over. Like he's sending these emails to lead them on and make them not build their website. But then later you kind of look back and you realize this guy was really busy during this time. Like he's building his website. He's at Harvard taking these hard classes. Like supposedly the computer science classes are the hardest. So, you know, when he says, I'm really busy this week, I have a problem set to work on as well as my side project, you know, like he is that busy.
Right.
And he has no time for your stupid, like you don't know what you're talking about project.
Yeah, Mark kind of struck me as like a very brutally honest kind of character. You know, he wasn't deceiving people just to deceive them and get them off track. He wasn't that vicious like that.
Right. He wasn't vicious. Yeah.
He was genuinely like busy. I get it.
Like, he was genuinely busy, and maybe he was afraid of confrontation.
Right. That's the thing.
So he's just like, I'm busy. Like,
yes,
I'm not gonna say your idea is stupid.
I get it. Like that's how I am too. Like I would do anything to not confront people or just not to text, talk, you know, I would ghost you, do anything. It doesn't mean that I don't like you or anything like that. I'm killing myself over here. But it's just so hard for me to do that, like get the message across and do this stuff. It's very hard.
Exactly. So then you see, you know, he's not this master manipulator, like trying to get them to not start the business. Yeah. Maybe it's all the fact that he can't tell them, you know, he doesn't want to.
It's hard to communicate, especially for him. At the last scene, what is your take for the last scene? Is he like in want of a human touch? Like he knows that he screwed up so bad. He screwed all the relationships he had. Is he like in want of that kind of relationship or mending those relationships?
That's what I'm thinking, because it's supposed to be that it's the end of the day. So all day he's been attacked by this and that. You did this. You ruined everything. Right. You were mean to me. You're a jerk. Yeah, you're a jerk, literally. Like, you're an asshole. I'm going to take your money. You know, he's been hearing that he's an asshole all day. Yeah. And so now he's sitting in a room and he just asks the woman, like, he tells the woman, you know, I'm not an asshole. And the woman's like, I understand. And so now he's sitting alone in a room and he's trying to figure out, what kind of person am I? And finally he's deciding to extend the hand for friendship. You know, he could have been like, I feel like if he was petty, he could have been like, Erica, I'm gonna block you from Facebook. You know, you didn't, yeah, like you called it a video game. You didn't accept my apology. Like, if he wanted to be petty there, he could have just been like, I don't want you to use Facebook, like it's my app. But instead he just sends a friendship. You know, he's like, friends, you know, I changed a bit. I'm older now. I apologize. Like, will you accept this? Yeah. As a way to move forward?
And the fact that he refreshes that, how relatable. Oh my God. So sad. You know, when you get the courage to finally like request a crush that you have or something, and then you get so stressed. Like, did I make the right thing? Like, did I do the right thing or not? And you're stressed the whole time.
They made him so relatable. And then in the meantime, he's like a genius who's created the best business in the world. And
yeah, it's very human. Like, I love the fact that they made him this human. Well, of course, like there are like elements to him that shows that he is like really cold and stuff, but it's also a mask, I feel like, because he's always been rejected from people and stuff, and he had to build this coping mechanism, this defense mechanism to protect him from the constant attacks of others. You know, when you were always attacked, as you said, like in every scene, like you're attacked. Of course, he's also been attacked from childhood, I'm sure. When he's been like that, especially being classified as a nerd, right, at some point you don't even care anymore about any of these things, and you kind of have this defense mechanism trying to defend yourself from anybody that wants to emotionally connect with you. So you always put this cold face, you always try to not get emotionally involved with anyone because you don't want to get vulnerable. If you get vulnerable, they're going to stab you. Right. But at the end, you become the one that stabs everyone, that hurts everyone. And everyone has to protect themselves from you, kind of.
That's right. But at the same time, if he did let his guard down, then maybe he wouldn't have created this amazing business.
How so? I think it would have helped him. Imagine like if Mark, this genius, knew how to also like be vulnerable and communicate with other, maybe like business partners, his friends and stuff.
That's fair.
Like you don't want to get emotionally involved with your business partners, but at least you have to have this level of like, I don't know, you have to be on the same page. You have to know what you're doing, like talk to them.
But like the communication is true, but I'm thinking if he wasn't ruthless, like if he was like Eduardo helped me build this business, so maybe I should always look out for him. Maybe I should make sure he has this 34%. Then maybe he wouldn't have had the mindset to let his company grow the way that it did. He would have always been like, we can't screw over these people. And then later he would have been like, we can't sell people's data for, I don't know, money.
For advertising.
But he had to be a little bit ruthless to get to where he is. Of course,
if you want to be a billionaire, you got to screw people over, It's not, we've said it before even, like, it's so hard and it's abnormal to become a billionaire. Millionaire, yes. But billionaire, you gotta do some pretty like shady stuff to get there.
Right.
So you're right. Imagine like, okay, if Mark was like, Eduardo wants ads to be put up on the website, so we're gonna do that. I think pretty early on Facebook would have been dead. Imagine like there are just 4,000 users and there are gonna be ads. It makes it uncool, as they said, and people don't like ads, especially for something this early. So they're not going to, like, continue. It wouldn't have gotten that far.
Yeah, so his inability to, like, see other people's point of view and his, like, singular vision actually did help.
But it also made him like a dictator, So what are dictators? Dictators just people that want to have the final say. They want to, like, everything to be according to them. So, but like in a democracy, it takes compromise and hearing the other party and what they think and what is their perspective.
That's true. At least hearing it, like even if you don't listen to it, at least.
Right. And you're even not, there's no one person that has the final say, but like the vote of the majority. But Mark is like a freaking dictator in this movie, right?
Right.
He is like a dictator here.
But imagine, that's the whole concept of I'm CEO, bitch. So he is the single force behind Facebook being made. If it wasn't for him, there would be no Facebook. Sure, Eduardo put the money. Sure, Sean Parker got a person to help. Sure, there was programmers who helped him build it. But if he wasn't up day and night trying to figure this out, there would be no Facebook. So why wouldn't he have ultimate power? Like, it's his child that he birthed. He created it.
That's kind of what... But also, if it wasn't for these people, he wouldn't have gotten to that place. Like, it wouldn't have happened. Even when the Facebook was up, it was like Eduardo's connections that got it started off. The emails that he had from the clubs and friends and connection. Because even the twins said it, that... this guy, Mark, doesn't even have, like, 3 friends.
Right.
To, like, I don't know, mash it up and make a 4th one. Or something like that. And that's true. He doesn't have any friends. How would he even get it, like, to where Facebook was in the early stages of it?
But at the same time, Face Smash got into 22,000.
That's right, yeah.
And he had no friends at that point either.
He didn't, but I think he had you saw the friends were also there, like
right.
I think he used maybe their emails or something. He said, like, send it to these people and stuff, and it matters who they send it to. Yeah.
I do think, Eduardo, as you say, is a little bit of a different case because he believed in Mark from the beginning. He was there emotionally as well as financially. He was a partner. He was the co-founder.
Right.
Maybe without him, there would have been no Facebook without his support. But the other people all could have been replaced. The programmer could have been somebody else. Winklevoss.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, why couldn't he screw over these other people? Why did he pick this guy? Why did he pick Eduardo?
It looked so bad in the movie, though. So, first, Eduardo's getting really badly screwed over. Sean is in the house that Eduardo is paying for while he's quit his internship, he's working every day. So all that, yes, I'm on Eduardo's side.
Right.
But then Mark says to him, come to California. This is where it's happening. And then what does Eduardo do? Go back to New York, go back to university. And then he comes back only for like the signing of something. And he comes back and he's supposed to be the business head of the company, right? He's supposed to be the CFO.
Right.
He comes back. He doesn't even look at the documents, what they say. He just signs it. Yeah. And he's like, oh, every time he comes in, he's amazed at the development. There's tables, there's computers. Are you part of this company? Like, you know, he's proud. He's like a proud dad who's looking at what's happening.
Right.
He's no longer part of the building of it. Every time he just comes from the outside, appreciates how much it's grown.
That's true.
And then leaves. And even, remember at some point, like in the company room, in the computer rooms, he's like, Mark, do you remember the algorithm on the window? And so what he's doing there is he's reminding Mark, do you remember that time I helped you?
Right.
You know, you were trying to build that website and I gave you this algorithm.
Yeah, this one time I helped you. Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, well, Mark could have probably found that algorithm on Google or something as well, you know? But why didn't Eduardo say, like, do you remember that day you didn't sleep at all and you made the single, like, relationship status part of the Facebook?
Right.
So it's interesting how Eduardo is, like, from his perspective, he's remembering the good old days where they made this thing together. He's forgetting that he wasn't there for most of it. Yes. Most of it was just Mark in the room, like not sleeping, not doing his classwork, just making it.
That's true. I mean, as a business student, as someone that calls himself like a co-founder of Facebook and someone that is like the CFO, you know, he doesn't have any say in anything. He doesn't do anything. That's true. Yeah. Well, he did invest.
Yes.
I
and
give
he
him
was
that.
Looking for advertisers. Yeah.
That's right. But he was so disconnected with the vision, with everything. That's why Sean Parker was so appealing to Mark from the beginning. Because Sean Parker, whether it was fake or not, he understood the vision. He was an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are visionaries. He understood the vision and he stood by Mark. But Eduardo, the whole time, was just an obstacle in front of Mark.
Yeah.
So he had to get him out of the way, especially since he came to become like really useless to him and his business.
Yeah, like it didn't look so bad where they sign some things, they celebrate together. Like I think Mark is like, Eduardo, we did it, you know.
Right.
We have the investor now, 500,000. And then they cut to the deposition. What happened next? I went back to school and I said I'll come back in a few months. Are you really the business leader if you're going to go back now? You know, what the hell? The company is happening here. Why are you going back to school?
That's true.
And he says, you know, yeah, I was ready to come back for the party in a few months. And for the business meeting.
Wow.
Really? So you're just going to leave and then come back for the business meeting and think that you're still the CFO? You're no longer, you know? It makes sense.
Yeah, I think Eduardo was too emotional, kind of.
Right.
He was too emotional and he's not right for like the business side of the thing, you know?
Even though he was the president of the Harvard Business Association.
That's true. But still, like, he takes it too emotionally. He doesn't have that kind of belief and vision in that company. That's why he doesn't connect. And he doesn't do anything for it. I got the same idea too. At times I was like, what are you even doing here? Like, what are you doing? You're not...
Even though, you know, Andrew Garfield makes him the most attractive. Like, every scene, you can't stop staring.
Wow.
When he breathes, when he smiles, it's just perfect.
I think I got over... like the whole movie just because of him. Like he was the reason. Yeah. The whole time, because I knew he was in the movie before watching it, I was so like waiting for his coming and his appearance. It was crazy. Like I was like, when is he coming? When is he coming? Is he one of the roommates? Right. You know, the first scene. Like, I'm not seeing Andrew. Where is he? Where is he? And he comes.
And then he has this introduction coming through the door, handsome coat and everything.
Good looking. And the scene that is like just smashing the laptop. Oh my god, that's powerful. Hot. So
the thing is, the first few times I watched that movie, like his performance and that scene made me be totally on his side, you know. I was just blinded. I was like, Mark, you screwed him over. How could you? That was all that was in my head. And that's due to his performance. Like, when he says, how did you do this to me? You believe him. How did you, Mark?
Yeah.
Even though, like, then when you take an objective view, you start to see, he wasn't there. It makes sense. But that performance, the way it's written, the actor, the way it's shot.
And actually, I saw, like, the behind the scenes when they were making that scene. It's crazy. There's a rail as he's walking, like, Mark! He's shouting his name and then coming
He's wired in.
He's wired in. Oh, he's wired in? Okay. I gotta do it.
How about now, P?
Yeah, and the way he slams it, it's crazy. Amazing. It's so good. And Mark's reaction is also very good.
Exactly.
Great.
There's so many scenes like this in the movie that are just like visually in your brain, I feel like. Sorry, I have a little OCD. I just had to turn it around.
Oh, yeah, sorry. This was yours, and I just took it.
I was like, baby, be safe. No, it's okay. But another one was, remember the Welcome to Facebook part where they do the shaking, like the drinking, and then one person gets up, and then he walks into the scene. It's just perfectly composed. They shake the hands. Welcome to Facebook. Everyone starts screaming.
Yes, that
so
scene is amazing. I love that. And how casual it is. Like, they're drinking and doing that, and then suddenly he's like, yeah, you're welcome to Facebook. You're part of the Facebook now. Wow. Just like that.
That's so cool. There's one shot that's my favorite in the movie. I feel like you wouldn't have even recognized it because it's like, it's not a fancy shot at all. But for some reason, it just got to me. Like, I feel it. So it's when Mark is in the room on the computer, and then Marilyn, the lawyer associate, is in the room as well, eating her salad.
Right.
And kind of Marilyn tries to start a conversation with him, but he's not into it. He's like, who are you? I'm busy.
Yeah.
And then the shot is Mark is working on the computer, and the girl is like 2 meters ahead eating the salad. And they just hold on this for a second. And then they cut to the next scene.
Why do you
loved it so much because it shows life outside of the film. So, she's going to keep eating her salad, and he's going to keep sitting at the back. And there's like this sexual tension, where she's in the room with the richest man in the world, the youngest, richest man in the world. Goodness. And she's eating her salad, and it's like making noises probably. And he's like typing, and he's annoyed maybe. Or he's just like thinking about Bosnia, and like maybe does she say something else? No, does she say the weather is nice today? Or do they just go silent until it starts? And it's just this power the scene has, like,
wow.
And then they cut from it, they don't even show it, they don't hold on it or anything.
Okay, I gotta go back.
Yeah, it's like the movie's full of these where it just feels like it's not putting it on for us. It's just going on, and we happen to be there to see it.
Yeah, I mean, like, Mark, for most of the movie, is just this nerd guy that can't pull off women. And he's like, he always has this, like, he doesn't have what physically it takes for you to get women. But then you realize how social currency is important, If you have built something that you're famous, or if you, like, add value by money, of course, everything, people are gonna be head over heels over you, ignoring every flaw that you have,
right?
And they're just gonna do anything with you. Like in that scene when this guy is just, Eduardo and Mark are just so happy after like doing the deed with the girls, and they're like, oh my god, we have groupies. Oh, that's so amazing. When they've become kind of like famous, known, and they have these fans that like are willing to, that want to like corner them and kind of.
That's the thing. Once you find success, people only see that. They see you've made it.
Right.
So there must be something in you that's worth it. And so then they just go for you.
Right.
In the book, like in the true story, there was a party where a Victoria's Secret model came to Mark's side and like started flirting.
Really?
And then Eduardo was just watching like, what the fuck is going on? Mark is talking to this hot lady. And then they go to the other room.
Wow.
And Eduardo was like, now I see the power of Facebook.
Oh my goodness. Well, there was this Victoria's Secret model also in the movie, but she was like with
a
Sean.
different purpose. Yeah.
Right. So that's crazy. Wow. Did these things actually happen?
Oh, I'm
because
sure
they were in the book.
Yeah. Now, I'm kind of like believing anything that's in the book to be true because it's based on the interviews. So
Right.
I'm sure.
But it could be like, I don't know when the interviews happened. Was it after the whole like deposition and everything, or?
Oh, here's the thing. I didn't finish the book, so I never reached the deposition part.
Oh, really?
If it was even in the book.
Okay. No, but we have to kind of like
backstory.
research to see when was the book written and when the interviews happened. Outside of like the book, just research
That's
when
a good point.
The writer did that. Because I'm sure it's after that, after every party is calmed down.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the story came out that maybe he was interested in figuring out. What was your relationship with Eduardo before,
I was kind of curious to see what was like compensated for Eduardo and what happened to her.
Well, I'm assuming it's more than 600 million because that's what he was going for. A little
exactly more. Well, the thing is, like, in the movie he said that I'm coming after everything, not that. And
that's a great line.
That point I'm like, oh my god, turn the whole story around, make it like a revenge story for Eduardo coming back at him, at Mark, and taking everything over. Can you imagine how cool that movie would be? Like that story.
It's true. There's so much potential in this.
Right.
Where like if you just focus on one character, then you could develop it so much. And it's like the film gives you one version of the story, but you could go back and get another version out for sure.
Exactly. There is also one thing I didn't get really. What was like the purpose of this Christine's character?
I was just gonna ask.
Really?
Yeah, like I was really wondering.
Okay.
What the hell is this crazy girlfriend doing? Like this is not even Eduardo's film. You know, what's the point?
Maybe the point was that to show like Eduardo at that time was really like his mind was really busy. He was doing lots of things, so he couldn't focus on Facebook, and that was the exact crucial time that these great things were happening for Facebook, and he wasn't present. So he didn't have full attention on Facebook. And that's why he came back, and, it's immediately after the fire scene and breakup with the girlfriend that he goes back to California and signs the papers. Right. So he's like, his mind is so boggled up. He goes back and without even reading or paying attention, he just signs that. So maybe that was the purpose, but...
That's a good point. So to kind of empathize with Eduardo,
maybe
to show his mind was preoccupied. And I feel like also to show like Eduardo was going down the wrong path. So... These two friends started in the same place, kind of, really smart and business driven, but like nerds. And they had the same goal of we're going to make it big. We're never going to go to a lame party again. That was kind of the thing. And then at this point, the switch happened where Mark focused on the business and going to California. And he focused on, now that I'm this kind of like CFO, I'm going to go into the New York streets as a business leader, like business owner, and find the advertisers, and I'm gonna get a girlfriend and kind of become this man that I'm meant to be and put my bag on. I am a businessman,
right?
And I go to Harvard, So
all these titles, all these things,
right?
Instead of focusing on building and creating something worthful, he just wants something that
his dad would be proud of, probably. Like his dad is like, do you have a girlfriend? Are you gonna get married?
Well, I don't think like dad cares about a girlfriend or anything.
Maybe.
But it's like his own mind, like he wants to boost his ego. He sees his value with having a business, a successful business, successful enough to get him girls like everywhere.
Right.
And get his dad proud and all that. Like he didn't even care about the business being that successful.
That's true.
He didn't even see it making like billions of dollars. That was like Sean's idea and Sean's vision. So he's just like he plays it safe. He's like still in the comfort zone, even though that's like the opposite of a businessman that wants to go. He has to be a risk taker.
Right.
But these were his qualities. He was like he had different goals and different things. That's why it kind of played that way.
And then, finally, it also gives him a moment of, I'm going to throw this life behind.
Right.
I'm going to throw the girlfriend behind, New York behind, and I'm going to go to Mark, and I'm sorry for cutting the business, I think I'm gonna go and put all my brain in. That's what it feels like that scene represents. Like, it's almost just a decoy for us to be more on Eduardo Saverin's side, I feel like.
Wow.
There's another thing, like, I can't believe we were on Eduardo's side, to be honest, because there's a sequence kind of like right after Face Mash is built or something like that, where there's 3 stories going on simultaneously. So one is the deposition where Winklevosses are saying, we sent these emails and this is how you replied. You ignored us, and how the Winklevosses are like, what do we do about this? So that's scene 1. Scene 2 intercut is Mark going to his classes but only focusing on building Facebook day and night, you know, figuring out how to do it. Scene 3 intercut is fucking Eduardo going to the parties, the Phoenix parties, drinking and like doing these initiations to get into this social club.
Right.
And you see that and you're like, how the hell were we on his side? Like, while Mark is literally suffering away to make this website, he's partying and he's like holding a chicken and feeding it other chicken and like, I don't know, taking his pants off and like figuring out or memorizing stupid facts about the statue of Harvard, you know? But you just think like he wasn't there fully. He had his own agenda, which makes sense. It wasn't his.
That's right, but Mark didn't even give him something to work with. He was just a source to provide money and fuel the business. That's it. Like for Mark, this guy didn't have any value beyond like this whole money, pumping money and cash flow into the business. That was like his only value for him. That's like, I think that makes him kind of like, okay, that what he did kind of makes it okay, I feel like. And the partying and stuff is like, he had to get into the club. And especially because Mark really wanted those emails, those connections. He had to do it, right? And Mark didn't give him anything to work with, like nothing. He said, I want to get advertisers. He didn't agree.
Yeah.
He said, tell me everything about the business. Anything that's wrong with it, we're partners. We're going to solve it together. He didn't do that either. So you're like, what would you do if you were in his position? Like, you're not told anything about the business. You're not told anything. And yes, it's not your idea. You're not that passionate about it, but you're a businessman and you're just trying to help here, but your partner doesn't trust you like that. It makes it so hard for him.
That's true. And he was always so supportive. He's like, let's go celebrate. I'll buy the drinks. And
yeah, he's also like on this end of the whole thing that he wants to party and like have fun. But Mark is not up for that. Even though Sean is like that. Sean is all about parties and stuff. But why does Sean get to be Mark's, on Mark's good side?
True.
It's because
the vision.
Sean doesn't like make conflicts and doesn't confront Mark, which he hates the most. Yeah,
that's true. And isn't it crazy how the last scene is a party thrown for Mark and for his success,
right?
But Mark doesn't even go.
No, he's not.
You know, it's like the first scene is I want to distinguish myself. How do I stand out? You know, I have to get into this club where all the social things are happening. And at the end of the movie, there is a scene, like there's a setup for him.
Wow, that's so true.
He doesn't even show up.
He doesn't even show up to that club.
But his goals have changed, I feel like.
That's right. But also it kind of like puts it into perspective. Even if he was like let into those clubs, like the final clubs, he probably wouldn't have even showed up or anything.
That's what I'm thinking, exactly.
Like, he's just not up for socializing. That's the thing. He can't socialize with people. It's so hard for him to do that. He can't even talk with his friends or anything.
That's true. And the thing is, like, first time you watch the movie, there's this plot really thrown at your way that Mark was jealous of Eduardo for getting into the Phoenix. Yeah. And that's
do you think that's the case?
That's the thing. Like, I don't. Because even though the first scene, Mark is so obsessed with final clubs, you see that his obsession changes immediately.
To, right,
you know?
to Facebook, to building this.
Even just to Face Mash. Like, as soon as he gets broken up with, and he realizes, I have this power to create these things that people come to.
Yeah.
after that, like, he almost never brings up Final Club. Like, even though, like, for example, imagine Eduardo comes into the room and is like, oh, I got the second round, and he says, don't worry if you don't get the third round, and goes back to the computer. And first time you watch that, you think he's so jealous, like, look at what he said. But then the second time you watch, you realize, oh, you know, he literally doesn't care. He's like, oh, don't worry if you don't get it, you know, I'm building Facebook. So immediately his goal changes just to, like, how do you distinguish yourself? You know, Final Club doesn't matter. And then, of course, he says the line of, like, maybe you don't know, but I could literally buy the whole Phoenix Club and put it into my golf club, like, or golf course or whatever. Exactly. And that makes sense to me. I feel like.
Remember we were watching this movie called Adaptation Dot, and this character that was, like, obsessed with things, you know, at first, like, fishes or I don't know, things like that, and then flowers. His attention and obsession changes to orchids, and he's just so 100% in it. And he's also has, like, trouble communicating with others and stuff. So I think that happens a lot. Like, there are so many people that, like, have really trouble, like, communicating with others. And they kind of find that comfort in, like, things, in hobbies, in things that gives them a sense of worth and value. Something they can be proud of and something that they can build. So this, I think, goes same for Mark as well. When he is obsessed with something and his attention is on something, he doesn't care about anybody. Everything else is blurred for him.
Right.
He doesn't even know what he's saying. He just blurts it out. Other people may get offended or so, but he doesn't mean it in a way to hurt them. That's why he's a redeemable character in my eyes.
Do you remember Sean's introduction?
When he comes suddenly,
there's the Stanford underwear, like, do you remember? No, not the
restaurant.
restaurant.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
What did you think about him in that scene?
Well, he's a man whore. That's what
a bit of a man whore for sure.
Okay. Well, he's also, like, pretentious kind of. He always throws this entrepreneur thing out there, and he doesn't mind, like, being recognized as, like, the former CEO of this company. And also that he's very intelligent and, like, so, like, quick, you know, he gets things really quickly. That's kind of
interesting. So, like, when you saw that, you were kind of like, I don't trust you, like, immediately you're like,
oh yeah,
interesting. That's very different for me. Because, you know, I saw it as, he's a bit of a man whore, like, he's somewhere he doesn't even know where he is. Yes, but immediately he knows the girl's name, the girl's major,
right,
like, background and everything. Like, they had a one-night stand. She doesn't remember anything about him, but he remembers all these details. So immediately I was like, okay, this is a guy who at least cares. He acts interested, even if he doesn't really care. And so immediately I liked him. And then they show his, like, and then they introduce his businesses. So, you know, you respect him a bit. Right. At least for me, I was like, oh, okay, so you did this and that. That's cool. And then we see his goal. You know, I have to find Mark Zuckerberg.
Right.
That's interesting that you didn't trust him from the beginning.
Well, you know, I think I just pick up on guys trying to trick and stuff like that so easily. It's become like a pattern that at a point, like, I feel like no guy can kind of, like, trick me with their, like, seductive kind of stuff. I don't know why.
Interesting.
Because, yes, I can play the part. I can play the part and, like, show that, I didn't pick up on the things that you were trying to do and stuff, and the manipulations that you were trying to do. But I get it, and if I play it, that's because I want to,
Wait, but what if Andrew Garfield comes up to you and is like, how are you, you know?
Oh my God.
Anna, I watched your podcast. It was so cool.
Right.
You wouldn't fall for that?
That's the thing. Like I said, seducers are people that they care about what your interests are and what your desires are, and they kind of, like, prey on you, not like in a creepy way, but they know you and what you're doing and stuff and what you care about, so they talk about that. So if it came up and talked about that, I would be like, okay, yes, he's a seducer type, you know?
Oh, interesting.
So I gotta be kind of, like, careful, but I want to play the part because I like the guy.
Right.
Yes.
I see. But don't you think you could reverse seduce him? Like you start talking about him and
exactly. Like... I would do that definitely. Oh, you were playing in The Social Network. Wow. That was amazing. So good. That was good. Yeah. Right. So you see, like he is a very like intelligent character. He knows everything about the girl, as you said. Sean, But the girl doesn't know anything. Why? Because he's a seducer. He gets these stuff. He picks up these stuff. The name, what she's doing, what she's all about, her interests.
Yes.
So you get it. True. He's a trickster. You have to be careful about this guy.
Good point. And then right after that, he manages to seduce Mark and the girl.
That's right.
It's amazing. Like the girl says some like, "Oh wow, you did that when you were 18, whatever." And then he's like, "And your drink is empty. Let's bring more drinks for you."
Wow.
What drink do you want to have? Yeah, exactly. Like he even focuses on the girl. At the same time, though, like the girl is the one who set up the meeting. So isn't that interesting?
Really?
Apparently, it says, Eduardo said, she said,
okay.
How? Like, did they sleep together? How do you know Sean Parker, girl?
Definitely. I think that's what happened. That's the thing. Like, Sean comes in, and we see as he's coming in, there are girls.
Yeah, everyone is saying hello.
He knows everybody. Everybody knows him. So immediately, you're kind of like drawn to this character. You're like, what's he all about? And it's crazy because the storytelling or like the characters don't start with them talking, but with things that happen around them. That's a very good point in a movie. So imagine like you can introduce a character by the things that are non-verbal things that are happening and the kind of like hints about their character. So you can directly say, yes, he's like a seducer, he is a womanizer, he always goes out with all these women, he knows everybody. But imagine like when you can show it to the audience.
That's true.
So when he's coming, instead of him just coming dryly and sitting down, you show him coming and everybody knows him, he waves at everyone, he talks to them. These are like subtle things that you don't notice at first maybe, but then like after you're like, yes.
You're so right. This movie is literally amazing with the background action.
Yes.
You know, like every shot you look at, there's something going on in the background. Like whether it's an actor who's drinking or like making a face or like somebody who's annoyed moving around. Like there's always life going on behind.
Right.
Or like, as you say, before the characters come in. Or like maybe they're throwing drinks at each other. Like it's so alive and every shot is not just the action. It's like a whole world. That's going on. It's so cool.
That's why I think it's also the writing of it, because as I said, Aaron Sorkin is kind of like writes in a way that each character has their own individuality, their own thoughts and beliefs and everything. So it makes sense if he writes like that. He's of course going to write like these kind of background scenes and these kind of stuff as well, or kind of help direct it or whatever. Like tell the director,
right? Like
that's how this character is, you know.
And Aaron Sorkin, as you know, he's directed 2 films recently. So not only did he master writing, but now he's getting into writing and directing them himself.
That's incredible.
So we should definitely watch.
What are
Molly's Game is on the list, okay? So Molly's Game is about this Olympic athlete, female, who breaks her back, and now she doesn't like. She's trying to figure out what does she do with the rest of her life. She was set on this trajectory of success, you know. And so then she goes into her next business, and the whole film is about her rise and fall and rise. It's amazing, and it's a true story.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll definitely talk about that one soon.
Definitely, yeah. Such a good idea. I didn't know that he directed movies as well. Now we have to
and he has plays. You know, just
he was a playwright actually. Yes. Oh, that's incredible.
Amazing.
And especially if you think about it, playwriting is like a one-dimensional kind of thing. Like it's a one linear kind of writing.
Yeah, that's true.
Whereas these scripts that I'm seeing right now, there are just so many layers and everything, which you wouldn't get from this kind of experience from playwriting. But
that's true. It's like a whole different
thing. But also like his playwriting background helps with the dialogues. He writes amazing dialogues, so that also helps. So that's interesting. We gotta watch so many movies. I saw the Molly's Game on the list that we had.
I did put it on, that's gonna be amazing. David Fincher, his new movie is out right now. It's at TIFF. Can we go watch that? It's at TIFF playing right now. It's called The Killer.
I thought TIFF finished in September.
It's a year round. Let's just advertise TIFF now. Every day there's films playing.
Sponsor us.
Independent. Exactly. Why not? TIFF.
That's incredible. What's the movie?
It's called The Killer or The Killers.
Oh.
I think it's called The Killer.
Okay, The Killer.
I know nothing. I didn't even look at the log line or anything. Wow. But it's David Fincher. We have to watch it.
Okay, this is unrelated, but I'm so excited for the Napoleon movie coming out this November.
Oh, that's so close now.
I know. It's November 22nd, I think. So I'm also so interested in that as well.
Yeah, Ridley Scott. Maybe we should watch that like 30 times in the theater. What do you think?
Wow, yeah. I mean,
check out The Social Network screenplay film. Watch it with your family, with your friends. You know, it's like, it's got a few scenes of sexy, naked.
Yeah, maybe don't watch it with your family, but that's alone.
You could still watch it. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, what's your opinion on Mark Zuckerberg as a person? Because I know nothing about him, TBH.
Lots of people... Yeah, I don't know him. A lot of people hate him, but I have nothing to hate about. You
going
know?
on around him.
You know, he's like a creative guy. He's a hardworking guy that did his thing. Maybe, of course, he screwed a lot of people over. But I don't care about that. Like,
yeah,
who cares?
Like, screwed people over.
He's the one that is going to respond for all these things. Who am I to judge him?
That's true. And so young. You know, he was 20 when he created Facebook.
So
he was younger than us. Yeah,
I'm 20 years old.
Exactly.
Like,
why didn't you make Facebook already? And me,
I
made
2 years older.
Pals.
I gotta get rid of the "de" though.
That's
the
true.
plot pals.
It's cleaner.
Yeah.
We should do it.
Well, we couldn't get the domain. Mark, help us.
Wow. We'll figure it out. The plot pals, we just have to find them, kill them, take their domain.
Exactly.
And then it'll be okay.
It's clean. So
thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
I hope you like The Social Network as much as we like it, because it's just one of the best. I love talking about it.
Me too.
I love going back to the script, trying to understand it.
Print the script.
Print the script.
Obsessed, like Maral.
Yeah, just why not, you know?
Yeah.
Have it. Look at it.
I mean, definitely try watching it and then like go back to the script, because it makes it make so much sense. It just makes it so much clearer for you. So definitely try that, just as an experiment.
Let us know. Is there anything that you really disagreed with? Did we like fuck over some parts of the story, or a perspective on who was the in the right, who was in the wrong? Let us know what you think about the films, about Eduardo, the Winklevoss twins, about what Mark did.
Yes.
Sean Parker coming in. What are your thoughts?
And yes, about the writing and the direction, and whatever we missed, you can also tell us and let us know.
And let us know what films and stories you're interested in,
so we could talk about that.
Analyze together. You know,
right.
It would be cool if we introduce a film and then we analyze it the next week. That way, like everyone has a chance to analyze together.
Exactly. It's so interesting to read the comments of people giving their theories, and it just makes you think.
Like, that's so
people
smart.
Are you think. They think about this stuff, and it's crazy. It's amazing, you know? The things that you wouldn't even think about.
Exactly. Like, some of these comments are so well put. I'm like,
I know.
I wish I said that on the podcast.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Like, you feel dumb after that. But we love to read them. It's great.
Thank you
so much for that. Please subscribe to our channel for more movies and analysis to come.
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Check out the Plot Pals.
The non-existent Facebook account.
Facebook coming soon. It's in the progress of being built right now. HTML.
Right. Exactly. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.
I just realized we're like yin and yang, the white and black right in the middle.